I've been sick for the last couple of days. I've tried telling people my story. My parents, my doctor, everybody. Hell, I've even tried getting on Reddit, Twitter, Dauntless community in general. And not even a game dev stick. I'm telling the truth. They all think I'm making up some spooky story, and I don't see it. Of course, that goes to show just how crazy the story is. But maybe if I tell you guys, maybe you guys will understand. Maybe you'll believe me. I mean, a guy's gotta hope, right? I will have to tell you though. This story, it's gonna sound a little crazy. And honestly, I don't blame you. It all started at Dauntless. I've been playing the game for a little while. Well, I say a little while. I'm quite the expert at it. I've recently gone through the Slayer's path. I mean, I can now prestige my weapon. Which I also wanted. I'm a professional swords player, meaning I like to main the sword. And I love it. Well, me and everybody else. My cousin got me into Dauntless, and I haven't stopped playing it non-stop. Of course, I make sure I'm not staying up past late and ignoring school and all that. I'm not addicted. I know when to watch myself and when to get off the game and take breaks. But one day, my cousin was telling me about this sword, an exotic sword called the Hunger. He explained that it was an exotic, and I told him, you don't need to tell me, because I've seen him play with it before. The sword was pretty good, and it was kind of creepy to look at. I'm an enjoyer of horror, so, but I'll be lying to you if I said I wasn't just a tad bit creeped out by the eyeballs on it. These creepy purple eyeballs blinking as a part of the sword. So he brought me to it, and I spent one or 2 hours grinding to get the parts off the shroud. Which, well, it is what it is. I've already read up on its ability, and it seemed normal at first. Just explaining how this thing drains your health, but you get lifesteal. But that was... I got a mysterious message from someone on a wiki. Of course I say wiki, but I meant on the community. We have an entire Discord server dedicated to people who love Dauntless. Usually it was mostly full of noobs who would usually go there to ask a player to help carry them through an escalation when it was too tough for them, or a trial. At least that's what most of the things were, but someone recently came in there and asked if anyone who had the hunger. I told him I did, and he brought me to a private message. Something in his tone really set me off, and he started talking to me. He started asking me what happened when I picked up the sword. And if I got any lore, if I got any extra lore, to which I replied no. But there was one occurrence. When you guys know when you pick up the hunger, I mean the summoning stone where you can get the blueprint for it, and there's a whispering. Wow. The game must be really good with its audio because I started hearing it through my own eyes. It felt like I was hearing it inside my brain. I activated it, and I've been playing with the sword for about 3 weeks. The guy messaged me 2 days ago. I haven't been feeling the same, quite honestly. Every chance I get, I always use that power. Something about it just felt really awesome. It felt like I was a pro. Just activating it, and it felt so satisfying watching the animation as my character envelops that weird black goo over his body, and the power increase. And quite a couple people are jealous, and I've never been quite the popular guy at school, but a lot of the gamers at my school, I've been kind of getting a little popular, constantly asking me if they can play with me, and if I can help them fight an escalation with them in trials. And I agreed. But recently, I don't know if I'm playing too much, but I've been off the game for around 20 days, almost a month, and I've been feeling sick. At first it was normal, but I started to... something was going on with my body. It seemed like every time I activated the hunger, and weird things would happen. I mean, the game worked normally. It was more so outside of it. I don't know what's going on, but recently, whenever I go to sleep, I'm always hearing whispering, and that's why I'm taking a break from this game. I've been hearing voices, but not like voices and people talking or telling me to do stuff. It's just rambling. I haven't been able to make out anything. I've tried even security cameras. Of course, I came back to the game recently. And honestly, I'm a little scared of using that thing. Of course, most people would think that I've just played the game too much, and I'm obsessing over it, and it was starting to become an addiction. But like I said before, I know when to stop and take a rest. I don't constantly play the game 24/7. That's why I still have a job, because I'm always there on time. Recent phenomena has been happening. I've been seeing things. For instance, sometimes, well, one time, I was staring myself in the bathroom. I just got out of a shower and looked at myself in the mirror, but I swear to you, for a minute, I didn't see me and my reflection. Well, I kinda did. It was all shadowy and goopy, just like my character when I activate the power. Of course, I touched my face, it did the same. I wagged my fingers in front of me, it did the same thing. I blinked it rapidly and rubbed my eyes, and it was my normal reflection. Well, I've talked to a doctor, and he's prescribing me medication to try to make the, well, voices and the hallucinations go away, and he even recommended that I take a break from the games. Hence is why I've been gone for almost a month. But recently, the things have stopped. But I'm starting to get nightmares, and they all end up the same way. In my nightmare, I would have the hunger in my hand, and of course, it was like real life Dauntless. Like I was actually in the game. But these dreams must be like super realistic for some reason. I don't know. But I would always activate it, and I'd be a badass monster, lean, mean monster killing machine. But I've been feeling a little sick recently, and it's not like a flu or common cold. No, this is a different kind of sickness. I've been seeing things that aren't there. But that was already happening to begin with. The recent thing came when I started playing more of the game. The voices are starting to make a bit of sense now. I usually wake up and there was just a pile of black goo right next to my bed. I forgot to mention I put on security cameras to investigate to see if I was sleepwalking. And no, I didn't touch the goo. I didn't know if it was toxic or if it was even safe to touch. I checked the camera footage, and I saw, and around the 3 a.m. mark, 3:46 to be exact, I saw myself get up. I was just standing there with my eyes closed. So naturally, I thought I was just sleepwalking. But then I started like getting down on the ground. Like I was just weak. Like my legs gave out, and I was kneeling on the ground and coughing. Just doing nothing but coughing. Then it looked as if I was retching, like I was going to throw up. And I did shortly after. But when I did, it wasn't your typical usual puke. No, it was black. Just like that. What the hell? I didn't clean it up. Why did it just disappear like that? I don't know. Maybe I cleaned it up later. I don't know. I went back to the camera, and I was still puking. I was puking for like half an hour of just puking out ounces of that weird black stuff. Tears running down my face. And the scary part was around 5:30 I was asleep. Then I started puking up like once or twice. I looked up at the camera. Oh my god. I can't. This is a new state-of-the-art camera, and there's no lens or anything like people say it is. My eyes were purple, just like a shroud's. My eyes were purple and glowing. I had a horrified look on my face. It was pitch black then, because I had my drawers blind. My blinds were closed. And next thing you know, I was walking down to the kitchen, and I just started going through the fridge, rapidly just eating like cereal, except I was just pouring the entire thing into a bowl. I don't know. This looks like you would think it was just simply sleepwalking. I then started to eat a couple things. That's when I realized I'm watching myself record right now. I was eating that bowl of cereal. I'm awake. But back to my nightmare while I'm eating. Well, I remember it actually. I've been losing memory recently. I don't know why. Usually I was the best at remembering, but I don't know. Mine's been a little fuzzy. And I've been getting headaches. I don't know if it was... I chalked it up just being stressed, and that's what my boss told me. He told me to take a break. Because he believed that work was stressing me out, and that's why I was seeing these things, and this is all happening. I would love to believe him. And usually my boss is right about a lot of things. But this is not one of them. Those voices. There's mutters and utters and groans. I've been hearing them a lot more common. They're a lot louder, as if they're right next to me or behind me. And they're a lot more frequent as well. I just went on the Dauntless to try to see if I can maybe clear my mind. I mean, this is all just gotta be an explanation, and not a crazy paranormal one, like some of you people out there who believe in spirits do. I was playing with the hunger as usual, but things were starting to happen in game. Either this is some weird new update, or my game's glitched, or am I just seeing things? Because whenever I activated the character, I was playing solo then because none of my friends were on, and I just went to normal hunting grounds. Well, I've at a loss for words. My character, I activated it and it was starting to do the usual feed off of him. You know, losing health. But there was no lifesteal. Like it was supposed to. It just kept eating his health. This was, of course, not supposed to happen. I'm supposed to get my health back. That's the thing with the sword. You gain health. But I wasn't. The meter kept going down, and I kept doing damage to the monster. And everything was normal. My cousin had joined me right then and that point. But then all of a sudden, my controller stopped working. Like, I was no longer controlling my character. My character just... Something just happened. Like, all of a sudden, everything on my UI, my health, my XP bar, everything just went away. I was just seeing the character, and then all of a sudden, I see my character go into shadowy form again, like he was activated it. He just pulled out his massive sword. And he went down and retched. Puked out. And then the voices came back to my head. And they were yelling loudly. They screamed at the top of their lungs. They kept yelling the word hunger. And then they started chanting feed. 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 Feed us. Feed us. Feed us. In fact, it was kind of fun. The thing that was kind of funny, it sounded like they were saying fetus because of how fast they were saying it. But what isn't funny is what happened. My character pulled out the hunger from his back. My cousin was, well, he's 12 years old, and well, at the time I think he's 18 now. I looked at the eyes, and the eyes were different. They were their usual, you know, opening and closing, but they stopped blinking. They were staring at me through the screen. And then all of a sudden the chanting stopped. Then all of a sudden I heard him say, "Now we feast." And with that, my character pulled out his blade. He looked at him, my other character, and my cousin and I just watched as he just impaled and shouted. It happened so fast, I was at a loss for words, but I know he screamed, so I wasn't hallucinating when I saw my character plunge the blade into his character's stomach and pull it out. This, you can't hurt other people, not even in Ramsgate. You can only hurt the monsters. Then all of a sudden, he started running. He turned into his goop form, or whatever you want to call it. Then he started moving around, grabbing it. He had my character had his hands at the sides of his head, like he was trying to tune something out, and he was trying to stop hearing something. Then he started puking black liquid, which I proceeded to start doing. I was doing what my character was doing. He was just puking, and I was puking. This weird black stuff. I tried to look to my cousin, but he was no longer there. It was just a fucking hallucination. I tried all of a sudden I felt this weak feeling. Then I started seeing darkness, blackness everywhere. I don't know why. It's like my vision was getting obscured or something, but he started like the voices were yelling more and more louder for me to feed them. I yelled out in a very weak voice, "What do you want? What do you want to eat?" No reply from them. They just stopped. I all of a sudden started feeling a lot weaker and weaker. And it got so bad I couldn't barely move anymore, and I just collapsed on the ground. Got on the ground with black vomit, and I started to smell it. It smelled like, well, a mix between blood and ink. And I was breathing very slowly. There was leaking out my mouth, out my nose, and I'm pretty convinced I was actually leaking it out my eyes. I heard nothing but my breathing. That's when everything started to piece together. Everything started to make sense slowly but surely. I think I know what's happening. Because I looked up to the screen. My vision got a little better, but I saw my character laying on the ground. And I think he was dead, but I can't say for sure. But if anything, I don't even know. So of all the hallucinations, I just can't tell no more. But I could tell this one was not a hallucination. My character was just laying there on the ground. And I think they were dead. No, I think he was dead. And that's when the sword came up by itself. No, my character picked it back up, except he was all shadowy. Then it was silent. I started wondering if I was gonna die here. And it started to feel like I was dying. My vision was getting worse. And I started to think, I was ready to believe. I was fully convinced then I was gonna die. And so, moments before I became unconscious, I was starting to sort of see all but black. When I finally went unconscious, I saw purple eyes everywhere, surrounding me, watching, as I was just standing there. But then I started seeing silhouettes of shadow people. Shadow people with purple eyes looking at me. They were starting to speak all of them English. One was talking about giving me some time. Another one yelling about how he wanted more. And there was a third one yelling at the second one who wanted more. Getting mad at him for hogging it. That was pretty much when one of them bent down to look at me. It was a guy who, oh my god, I recognized him. He was one of the guys from my school, a guy named Gary. He was always a nerdy type. He was looking at me for a second. Then he started telling me about how I should not panic, that I'm not going to die. And he said he was sorry, but they had to feed, and they had to satisfy their hunger. At this point, I was able to talk, but very weakly. In fact, I can only spell out a couple words. Why and me. Spelling out, why me? He then began to pat my back and told me that I did nothing against him, and this was not an act of revenge or anything, and they just had to satisfy their hunger. I started to slowly be able to form sentences. I was getting some of my energy back. I asked him. Nothing. Because he stopped me. He told me that I was not going to die, and I had nothing to worry about. I should be back within the next hour, and when I woke up, I would have full energy. I asked them if they needed to feed. They shook their heads no, and said that the blade needed to feed. 3 souls, 3 eyes. That was the next thing he said before I went to sleep. When I did, I had a nice dream, if you would believe it. When I woke up, everything was gone. I immediately started to look up Gary's name. Oh my god. I found a news article talking about how Gary died yesterday. He was dead, and said that the case of the murder was unknown, and it was under black goo. Just like what happened to me. And I'm starting to wonder. I'm starting to piece it all together. It happened for the last couple damn years, and I think I've got the story. The hunger. The hunger is dangerous to play with. It waits for someone to grab it and to use it a lot. Because you start forming a bond with it. You start to love it more and more. And as you do, it becomes hungry. It's always been hungry. Hungry for more. It's not hungry for flesh or blood or soul. Your life force, your energy, your life. I guess that's why I ended up in the hospital, and they talked about how I was severely low on blood, and if I had lost even a small, tiny pint of blood, I would have died from blood loss. The doctors explained that almost all my blood was gone, but I had just barely survived, and I was literally 10 seconds, 5 or 10 seconds away from death from lack of blood. I went back home, and now I think that sword consumed them, consumed their life force. The sword is evil, and I've been studying it a lot, and I think I can come to a safe conclusion. That sword needed to feed. Luckily, it doesn't seem to need to feed often. But I now know why those eyeballs are there. The eyeballs in that sword are the 3 most recent victims it takes. And the person, the unfortunate folk, usually end up just dying. Well, at least I don't have to worry. At least their souls aren't trapped or anything. The voices are gone. Everything's been back to normal. Well, except I have a tad bit of PTSD, and plus, no one else believes me. Not my cousin, who actually lives out in Florida. But I couldn't think in that moment. I've been taking a break from Dauntless ever since. And recently I've gotten an email from someone at Epic Games, since the game was made. I came up to them, and they basically came to my house, asked how I was doing, and said that he knew of the sword's curse. He said that that this thing was cursed, and these people, and kind of like how it can bring you down to 1 health, where it can eat away pretty much all your health, but you won't die. It won't let you die. It'll stop eating your health after it gets down to 1. He said it was kind of like that in real life. And this thing was cursed. And I asked him how he knew, and he started saying all these things about its lore, about how it feeds. I asked him how he knew all this, and he said, I've been a victim myself, and you and I, we're the only people who've ever survived this thing's feast. I started to panic, and he reassured me that this thing never attacks the same person twice. And usually it can control its hunger. And even try explaining. I asked him if it was safe for people to even use this fucking thing. He said yes. I then asked him how they kept its hunger straight. He looked at me with sad eyes and started to tear up. He then went on this sad story about how he had to sacrifice his own son consumed, quote unquote, his son. And that's when I, I went into my email from all that time ago, and it turns out he had actually went around and DM'd me before, trying to warn me of its hunger. Of course, I asked him what all people would ask him. Why didn't he tell people? He said it was because he didn't want it. He didn't want people to worry. And he didn't want to cause panic throughout the place and start thinking that the company was deliberately putting a cursed sword that fucking consumed people and causing their deaths. A bit of an asshole move, if you ask me, but he seemed to have kept this thing's hunger under control. He says that there's a special brand of employees that work hard and sacrifice quite a lot, quite literally, to keep that thing's hunger satisfied. Because they explained that when they keep the sword fed. If they keep the sword fed, no one else gets hurt. It was a bit unfortunate. He then told me that I had to make sure I never told anyone about this. I told him I couldn't promise, but he said to at least keep the promise. To ensure that no one found out, because he didn't know what would happen to me or him or anyone if Epic Games found out. And they did find out a week later. But of course they weren't going to kill me or silence me. Well, they did silence me, but they didn't do it in like a kill you way, like a CIA kill you as in no witnesses way. They told me that they didn't want to cause panic, and they had everything under control, and they gave me $500,000 with the agreement that I would stay quiet about this. I agreed, and they even paid for my counseling, which I've had a counselor named Joe for the last, I believe, 3 weeks. I've told him my story, and as you would guess, he thinks it's all made up. I didn't want to seem like a crazy person, because I've already been through a lot, and I definitely don't want to go around and try to explain to my boss while I was in a mental institution for God, that was how long. So I just played it off, pretended it was just a joke. And I still do to this day. But honestly, I'm done. I'm done keeping the truth. To hell with your shit. I don't care if these guys keep paying me monthly to keep quiet. I'm not gonna sit idly by. I'm not gonna sit idly by and risk people not knowing about the dangers of this sword just to have some money. No. I have to be the hero here, and that's why I'm here today. To spread awareness. Because this sword, there is something deeper than this sword's game. Luckily, it seems I've actually found a secret lore page. Well, I call it a lore page, but it was really the employee's name, who was Brad. Brad told me the sword only needed to really be fed, and it had to consume somebody once every 25 years. Of course, I thought it was 25 years, but he said recently it's been attacking people or something. I asked him how I managed to survive, and he didn't tell me, of course. And we've actually become great friends, actually. If you like to find the good out of a bad situation. And that brings us to today's story. Please, be careful with this hunger. It's okay to use the hunger. I hope I don't induce panic into you. Neither does people at Epic Games. I mean, hell, I work on Dauntless now. I work to keep that thing from getting hungry. But maybe I can tell you that some other time. In fact, I don't even want to think about it. I just want to go to bed. This is giving me quite the PTSD rush, and my anxiety's starting to go through the roof. And my doctor said I need to be a lot more careful about stress, because due to that thing, after that what happened, they said I have a bit of a weaker heart. And so I was going and basically explained that if I get too stressed, I would have a heart attack and die, and I don't want to have a heart attack, so I have to keep myself a little stress free. That's why especially why I had to leave that job. But please, whenever you use the hunger sword, if you start seeing the symptoms that I've mentioned, who knows, maybe I can help you. Maybe I can teach you the signs to look out for. Because I've been studying this thing for a long time. Brad passed away last year, or actually this year. But I'm still living. No one else even knows about this thing, but a select few group of people. You know that stuff about Epic? Yeah, he wasn't talking about the entire company. I mean, of course the company's not going to go around endangering a bunch of people's lives. Or if there was something evil, they would at least do whatever they could and definitely not keep it a secret. But who knows? I'm starting to read a little heavy. I'm going to go to bed before I get too stressed out. I hope you take this as a message to be careful with that sword. And if you do use it, it's okay to use it. But please, if you start hearing, if any of these symptoms start to occur, just call Epic Games, the Epic Games company, and ask for Travis Travis Barkson, and I can help you get through it. Because I don't want to see, I don't want to witness another person. I don't want anyone to see or go through what I had to go through. And believe me, I believe sometime in October, that's when it's going to get hungry again. Every year in October, that's when it's going to get hungry again. So please, stay safe. I was lucky. but there's a 7.3% chance of surviving. And if this gets popular enough, maybe I can teach you all the signs of the hunger. May God bless you. And please, be careful. You might not end up as lucky as I did when well, you might not be as lucky to survive the sword's endless hunger. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this creepypasta horror story. This was completely and utterly made up by me. So, yeah, I made it up by myself. So, and I just want to make a quick disclaimer. First off, please don't actually ask for a Travis Parkinson. That's just a random name, so you don't need. So please don't call Epic Games and do that, because I really don't want them getting pissed off at me for, you know, creepypasta. And another thing too, and I just also want to say real quick, thank you guys for liking this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below anything you want to comment on. And if we get, let's say, at least 10 views in this video, I would do a part 2 of this. Well, a little side thing, 'cause it's not really a part 2, because I'm not continuing the story and stuff like that. And guys, the main thing I want to say is, please don't actually... Now, just for my younger audiences who are more impressionable, I want you guys to know that this story is completely made up, and there's none of it's true. None of it's true, none of it's real. And so, I'm mainly saying this because I know there's probably bound to be somebody who's gonna not understand it's a horror story. So don't worry, guys. If you guys use the hunger in game, like as on my blog, what I've been using throughout this video, guys, you don't need to panic. You can calm down. You don't need to panic. You don't need to worry. The sword's not gonna actually come out and consume you in real life. It's all just made up by me. It was all just made up by me. It's just a creepypasta, fun little scary story. So don't worry, guys. You don't have to worry. Don't worry, guys. All I'm just saying is, don't worry, guys. You don't need to worry about, dying or anything. The story is 100% fake, made up. None of it's real. So don't worry. Don't worry. It's just a video game, and nothing bad's gonna happen. You're not gonna get hurt or anything from this, from the hunger. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story, and again, if you're a little spooked up or whatever such story, just please do remember that it's just none of this is actually real. Okay, this is not based off any incidents, and don't actually call Epic Games and try asking them for Travis Parkinson, because they're gonna be confused, and plus it's a made up story. And don't worry, this story is not actually gonna happen in real life. Okay, this is just a made up story. You guys don't need to worry. Don't panic or be scared, or think, oh my god, if I use the sword, oh my god, I'm scared of Dauntless, oh my god, this thing's gonna come and kill me, or whatever, So don't worry, guys. I know it's a little scary, but don't worry, none of it's real. You may continue, you can still play at whatever, have fun with the game, I'm just saying, don't worry. You don't need to worry, don't need to panic. You're not gonna die, you're not gonna get hurt. And this story was just a fun little scary story that I decided to make for y'all. And if we get at least 10 views on this video and stuff like that, if this video gets popular, which basically means like it's popular enough for me, you know, then I would do a continuation of this, you know, talking about like making up the science and all that again. Even that video is gonna be made up. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you got spooked a little bit or whatever, and if you're able to put it down in the comments below, go ahead and put it down in the comments below. You know, any reactions, and if you can't put it down in the comments below for some reason, then yeah, but thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna stop talking now, and thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you all next time.